So the last thing that I want to discuss is Cardi B's recent love that she's been showing for the progressives, most specifically Tulsi Gabbard and Bernie Sanders. Cardi B is actually one of my favorite people. I like her music because it's super entertaining, but whatever you want to say about Cardi B is that you can't say that she's not authentic. And that's a fact. Like, Cardi B is one of the most she is not changing for anybody. She knows who she is. She knows where she came from. She is not ashamed of it. And I feel like if more people were more comfortable in their skin, then you wouldn't have so many people reaching for attention and selling out their values just to try and make a quick buck. I feel like Cardi B is one of those people. I mean, she was a IG model. No, not even IG model. She was an IG figure where she was just famous for talking trash and being funny. Had crooked teeth, didn't care, still talked about how cute she was. Like, and then she got a rap deal, or she was on television for a while. Then she got a rap deal after the television where she was the most famous character for being as authentic as she could be. Never does people wrong, but always never. I'm not saying she never made mistakes, but she never does people wrong. However, she's authentic, right? And then she ends up getting a rap career where she talks about her experiences, and you actually kind of see her like practicing sometimes self-deprecation, right? I remember one of the first song that was popularized. Obviously, most of y'all probably know it. Bodak Yellow. It's like one of the most. I think it's the most famous song by female artists of in all time. And she said, "I got a bag and fixed my teeth." In other words, like, she's admitting, like, yeah, I used to have crooked teeth. I mean, but I got money and I fixed it. So here I am. Most people wouldn't say something like that. They don't like reflecting on what they were in their past, and maybe they were the ugly duckling. Maybe they don't, you know. So that's why I like Cardi B. So when she says something like this, one, it makes you want to question the motives of some other people, because Cardi B should not be this woke, while other people who do this full time get it completely and totally wrong all the time, or at least recently they have. So this is the article, or this is the cover of the Rolling Stone magazine. Now, some of you all might recognize this cover. That's the cover that used to have Nancy Pelosi's face on it, and Cardi B photoshopped it out. Yeah, that happened. Now, what's even more interesting about the Photoshop, first of all, that outfit that Tulsi got on is fire. Like, I can't even stunt. Like, that's like some high-end fashion magazine type of fashion right there, Tulsi. So shout out to you. I didn't even know you had a picture with that. That's a dope outfit. But what's interesting about this is the fact that she replaced Pelosi, so clearly she knows what's up. She knows what's up. She replaced Pelosi, not with Barbara Lee, not with Kamala Harris, right? Not with Elizabeth Warren. She replaced Pelosi with Tulsi Gabbard, where she changes the article title, or the subtitle, and it changes it from Nancy Pelosi and the new progressive blah, blah, blah. She has Tulsi Gabbard, as in Tulsi Gabbard is leading the new progressive wave in Congress. And then she actually has on top of that Rolling Stone cover, photoshopped in, of course, the real progressive women in the Democratic Party. Once again, Cardi B did not Photoshop in Kamala Harris. She did not Photoshop in Elizabeth Warren. She did not Photoshop in like Barbara Lee's of the world, or some of these other people out there, Kirsten Gillibrand. She Photoshopped in Tulsi. So why is it that Cardi B, who spends most of her time twerking and writing music, nothing wrong with it, get your money, boo-boo, but I'm just saying, Cardi B spends most of her time twerking and writing music. This is by no means, in no way, her full-time job. How can Cardi B see something that I believe is right in front of many people's eyes, but they all choose to ignore. And these people can't see the facts in front of them. Religiously pushing Warren. Religiously coming up with excuses to be concerned about Tulsi. Tulsi's the only progressive that they have concerns about. Everybody else is 100% infallible. Haven't made any mistakes. But Cardi B can see who the real progressive is. And as far as the women, the leading progressives in the House specifically, there is no comparison. It is absolutely Tulsi Gabbard. They just stole her legislation the other day. And of course they watered it down, but they gave it almost the exact same name. But they stole her legislation because they realized how much support election integrity legislation does actually have. And they stole it while she wasn't even in the room. Why? Because Tulsi's always ahead of the game. The Yemen legislation that she worked on with Ro Khanna, they didn't want to give her credit for it. They kept leaving her name out of that, even though she was one of the ones who spearheaded it. Medicare for all legislation in the House constantly gets left out of that. She's in the forefront. You know, everybody else is wagging their finger at Big Pharma, right? Y'all know about that, right? Everybody, Big Pharma is so bad, wagging that finger. Oh, you better hope my finger gets tired soon, because I'm not done wagging my finger at you. Guess what Tulsi did? Tulsi, along with Bernie Sanders, introduced legislation to hold Big Pharma and the CEOs criminally accountable. Action, bills, legislation. Ain't no finger wagging, unless there's going to be some finger wagging followed by some legislation being introduced. So why, once again, is it that Cardi B can see what these progressives out here can't see? Why is it that, once again, these progressives, I'm sure Cardi has her quote-unquote concerns, but I'm sure she has her concerns about every progressive. I have my concerns about literally every single progressive, from Bernie down to Rashida Tlaib. You should, because all of them are imperfect. That's okay. But why is it the only people we ever hear concerns about is Tulsi? And the one who supposedly has no chance of winning. The one who supposedly only has 1% in the polls. The one who supposedly was not going to qualify for the first debate. The one who supposedly wasn't going to qualify for the third debate. The one supposedly no one was paying attention to. But everyone feels they have to point out their concerns about. Just saying. And it's interesting, by the way, because I'm going to show you what Cardi said about Bernie, which is equally as inspiring. But I find it interesting that you'll likely see what Cardi B said about Bernie on YouTube today. You know, probably within the next couple of hours, you'll start seeing the progressive YouTubers put this out. Hell, Emma Vigilant, of course, commented about it on Twitter. And it's interesting to me that you will see people, both of these tweets, or both of these things were viral. You'll see these progressive YouTubers post all the love in the world. Oh, because it's Cardi B talking about Bernie. Look, Cardi B talking about Bernie. It's Bernie. It's Bernie. Bernie. That's great. But they didn't send out a tweet. They won't send out any type of acknowledgement of what Cardi B said did, putting Tulsi on the front of that cover, which is a hell of a statement. But it's not by accident. And it's interesting even more so that Cardi B somehow, some way has managed to figure out, wow, I can actually support multiple progressives in the presidential race. I can still shout out multiple progressives in the presidential race. And it's perfectly fine. No one feels slighted. Because Cardi B, being outside of this realm of politics, like most of the world, sees progressive victory no matter which progressive wins. She isn't doing it to garner views, clicks, or whatever. She's not telling people to pick sides. She just supports. So that's what the right thing to do is. So I want to talk about what she said about Bernie, which is really dope. Now, you all know, I hope, that by this point, Cardi's actually been a supporter of Bernie for quite some time, right? She shouted him out in 2016, and she's been a pretty vocal supporter of Bernie for the last 3 years, ever since. And she said, I've been reading about Bernie Sanders, and I'm really sad how we let him down in 2016. This man's been fighting for equal rights, human rights, for such a long time. Seeing this country become a better place has been his passion for a long time. Not a new front for a campaign. Ooh, shots fired! Shots fired. So, wow. I mean, that's a pretty powerful statement. Basically, she just said, I mean, those were shots fired. Kamala, pew pew. Cory Booker, pew pew pew. Biden, bazooka. And blow that whole campaign up. But what she said was a powerful statement, because that's kind of how a lot of people feel about Bernie. A lot of people feel, I do feel, even though I wish he would have addressed election fraud or election integrity and election fraud in 2016. He did say it's not him, it's us. So we all have to do our part. Got it. Still wish he would have said something about it. Jane did, but hey. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of the country let him down, because if Bernie had this type of popularity in 2016, if people would have acknowledged what was right in front of them in 2016, if they were paying attention in 2016 the way they should have been, they were being so busy being lulled to sleep by Obama, they were busy convincing themselves, suffering from delusions of grandeur with Hillary, that they didn't take the gift that was right in front of them. Enough people didn't get activated. Yeah, he set records, but that wasn't enough. To overcome election fraud, you have to have just sheer dominance. And he looks like he has at this time, but he did not have that in 2016. In Vermont, you don't think he dealt with any type of election integrity issues when he was running for office? Absolutely. But he was so damn popular, it was overwhelming. And the more you read about how long Bernie has been fighting, you know, he may be abrasive at times. He's a loner. If you looked at his family history, Bernie is indeed a loner. Parents passed away while he was a young man, barely became an adult. Then on top of that, his brother moved to Europe while he was still in college. He had nobody around. So he can be abrasive at times. But that loneliness, I guess you could say, caused him to think for himself. It caused him to activate. And he's been fighting for a very, very long time. He hasn't always gotten it right. He's gotten it wrong a few times. His heart was usually in the right place, though. He thought he got it right. He didn't think he was doing it because somebody paid him to do it. He didn't think he was doing it because he was going to get a promotion. He didn't think he was doing it because he wanted to be president one day. He wasn't doing it for a favor for a fellow neoliberal or you know, a Republican. He did what he thought was right at the time with what was given to him. And for all of his faults, you know, I do feel, I mean, my friends who weren't even activated in 2016 feel the same way. Like, wow. Like as a Tulsi supporter, I feel like we let Bernie down, and we let Tulsi down, right? Because Tulsi would have likely been his vice president in 2016, and people don't know that. Tulsi, this isn't the first time she's been good at foreign policy. Like, she's been good at foreign policy. Bernie's been known how great she has been on foreign policy. And a lot of the suffering that has taken place over the last 4 years would not have happened under Bernie and Tulsi as VP. And Tulsi would have an entirely different narrative surrounding her now if people had activated for Bernie in 2016. So it's like, it's a trickle-down effect. We let down nations by not getting behind Bernie by the numbers that we have got behind him in this time in 2016. We let him down, and because of that, we let ourselves down. And it's amazing to hear someone who isn't in politics like that, who isn't, you know, this isn't her job, politics isn't her job, but she can cut through. Cardi B is around a lot of, you know, a lot of noise in Hollywood, a lot of noise in the music industry. People like Charlemagne the God saying that Kamala is most qualified, based off of nothing, by the way. And despite all the other influences around her, Cardi is doing what she feels is best based off of her own research. And that's a pretty amazing thing to see. And it's amazing to see somebody with that type of platform, probably the largest platform that Bernie has been personally exposed to, saying, look, we got to get it done this time. That's the message I took away from that. We got to get it done. And we can't prop up these neoliberals pretending to be our allies just to get our votes, pretending to support Medicare for all just to get our votes, pretending to support free public college, pretending to want to rein in the military-industrial complex, even if they even do pretend. There may be one or two that pretend. So, shout out to Cardi B. Shout out to Cardi B for the love that you showed Bernie, for the love that you showed Tulsi, using your platform in such a crucial and critical time in American history to push the progressives rather than, you know, doing what's popular. Having Kamala come on your show and hitting the whip and the nay-nay. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button to get all of our notifications if you like that episode of Mi Casa Su Casa. You can also help continue to grow our show by donating to our Patreon and helping us hit our goal of 500 patrons. But remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.